So we've definitely had an exciting weekend with lots of news, and obviously The Last of Us that finally aired on Sunday. And of course, I put out my thoughts on that episode. Check the channel. I'll have it linked as well if you want to look at that. But today we're going to be talking about the effects of The Last of Us doing so well and what that could mean for the games, and also Microsoft facing more antitrust issues and just more things rising to combat Microsoft's ability to get this deal pushed through. We're going to look at what's being said there. Now, before we jump into that, you do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, share the video. It really does go a long way and it helps the channel a ton. Now let's talk about this article from Reuters.com, and it's going over what could be just another mountain for Microsoft to conquer or try to conquer with this statement. In quotes, Microsoft is likely to receive an EU antitrust warning about its $69 billion bid for Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard. People familiar with the matter said that could pose another challenge to completing the deal. And yes, very much so. They already got so much to combat that this is just another thing. Goes on to say the European Commission is readying a charge sheet known as a statement of objections, setting out its concern about the deal, which will be sent to Microsoft in the coming weeks, the people said. And so, once again, it just seems that Microsoft is just facing challenge after challenge after challenge without a breather in between. And it just goes to show that when we all, and a lot of us were saying that, Jim Ryan is being ridiculous, Sony's being ridiculous, that apparently his efforts really did rise up quite a few people to disagree and combat this deal. I don't know if it's directly his efforts, but to say that he had no impact at all, I think is an unfair statement. I definitely think him and his efforts and Sony's efforts definitely added on to it and brought more attention to this than otherwise would have been there. So I think that more than ever, this deal is at jeopardy. I think more than ever, Microsoft is sweating. I think there's a lot that could go wrong here. I think it's still not impossible for this to go through, but I think that there's definitely a lot at risk here. And I do think they will probably have to make some commitments that they don't want to make in order for this deal to go through as well. It's not going to be a clean deal like the Bethesda deal. The Bethesda ZeniMax deal was a lot simpler and it went through without much pushback. But this Activision Blizzard King situation is just a different beast. And it really just shows the power of Activision Blizzard and how important it is in the games industry and for the future of gaming. And when a lot of people didn't really take this as serious, it seems that, yes, it actually is very much a more serious buyout than anything else, especially when we're talking about IP like Call of Duty. I know there's a lot of other IP there as well, but the most substantial one being Call of Duty, one of the biggest IP right now, one of the biggest without a doubt. And it's undeniable. If you don't like Call of Duty, that's fine, but this game is selling tons. A lot of people are playing this game. This is the casuals go-to. This FIFA 23 and I want to say NBA 2K, maybe Madden in there as well, but nothing compares to this. The closest thing is FIFA, and even FIFA is not even close to Call of Duty in terms of popularity and just the amount of attention it's garnered, especially because it's not a sports game, right? It's an original IP rather than a soccer game. So it's definitely something that's going to draw attention. I think that this deal will be a problem. I think we're not going to see the end of this till 2024. I really don't think we're going to have this resolved by end of 2023. I feel like the more that keeps coming up, it seems that it keeps getting pushed back more and more. We'll see what happens. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Do you think this is speaking even worse news for Microsoft in terms of this deal going through? What are your expectations? Do you think this will close by the end of the year, or do you think this is a 2024 situation? Let me know in the comments. Now, next, let's talk about The Last of Us. The show did amazing. It did wonderful, right? It was amazing. The episode was great. I'm not giving you my review here, but to me, it was a 10 out of 10, that episode. But if you look at the response, it has been overwhelmingly positive. The Last of Us on Rotten Tomatoes is 99%. The audience score, 96%. So you can see that it is highly regarded and reviewed. And so what does this mean for the game series, right? And for Naughty Dog? Obviously, a show doing so well, or an IP doing so well as a TV show, they're going to need more content. So once The Last of Us Season 1 is done, Season 2 comes around, and then they use The Last of Us 2 content, well, then they need The Last of Us Part 3. So this makes me believe that The Last of Us Part 3 is likely going to get more of an urgency put on it because they're going to want to continue this great show, especially if this show is as good as it was for the first episode for the entire season. And if Season 2 is just as good, then yeah, they're going to want to push through and make The Last of Us Part 3 so they can give us Season 3 as well, because they can't do the show before the game, or at least I would hope they wouldn't do that, and I don't think they would. So I do think that this further speeds up The Last of Us Part 3, and it further speeds up the time frame on when we will eventually get a new IP as well from Naughty Dog. So we'll see what happens. I imagine that this changes quite a bit. I think this is probably doing a lot better than maybe even Sony expected. Obviously, they knew what they had in their hands, and they were probably super impressed with it, but it's kind of hard to tell how the audience will react to your art. I think it's impossible to say that for sure it'll be beloved, but in this case, when you get a response like this, it's quite clear that it is highly impressive, and even they are impressed by these numbers. So we'll see what happens, but I do think that this definitely speeds up The Last of Us Part 3. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think of The Last of Us TV show? Do you think this is going to impact Naughty Dog games going forward? As always, if you have not subscribed already, please subscribe, like, share the video. Helps the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description. And if you want to go a step further and support the channel, you can become a channel member for $1.99 Canadian a month. Every dollar gets reinvested into the channel. I'll talk to you guys all on the next one. Take care.